These are supersized versions of regular things, including the world's largest slice of pizza. Good luck trying to finish this in a few bites. It's gonna take a bit longer than that, given this margarita is over 1 mile long. That's like a 15 to 20 minute walk worth of tomato, cheese, and dough. And if you're someone who isn't a fan of pizza crust, don't worry, there's plenty of your favorite part to get through before you even get to it. And since we're on the topic of record-setting snacks, I don't think anyone's gonna beat this one for a while. The longest cheese pull from a giant nacho chip. On your hikes through the mountains, an enormous cheesy nacho bowl left unattended is probably the weirdest thing you could possibly see. After a full-scale helicopter mission, a record of 49 feet of stringy cheese was smashed. But when you can't decide between American and Mexican cuisine, why not combine the two? Just like Epic Mealtime did when they made a burrito filling of 200 McDonald's burgers, as well as bacon, pizza, and a lot of fries. To some people, stuffing a burrito with Donnie's burgers is sacrilege. To others, it's the hangover breakfast of kings. And no pressure, but make sure you wrap that tightly or there's gonna be a food avalanche. Giant food requires equally sized transport. That's why Oliver Tree took a hold of the handlebars of the world's biggest scooter. He just needs a little help getting up there. However, it may not be the most practical way of rolling to your next destination, and like they say, the bigger you are, the harder the fall. But that was the risk he was willing to take. Ah, the perfect gift for the giant computer nerd in your life. The world's biggest keyboard and mouse to match it. With 5 meters between your shift and enter key, each game is a workout. Luckily, you don't need a giant mouse to click that like and subscribe button, but whatever helps. But it's still rodent-sized compared to the Hummer H1X3. This 4-wheeled monster would give Optimus Prime a run for his money. At nearly 7 meters high, you'd assume reaching the pedals would at least take 3 working days. But hitting the Safari no longer seems scary when you're driving something tall enough to make a lion look like a kitten. This 32-ton catapult is 60 feet tall and would strike fear into any castle attack. However, the guys at Top Gear had another idea in mind: flinging a Citroën car back to France. Proof that some modern-day problems require olden-day solutions.
Whoa! There goes gas!
Oh, shit.
If you've got some documents you want to get rid of, a standard paper shredder is your best bet. But if you need to destroy something with a bit more volume, then Mr. Beast has got you covered. In fact, he made a shredder to put scrapyards out of business. So if you ever need to dispose of an old piano, vending machine, or just your spare Lamborghini that you don't want anymore, then here's your solution.
Oh my god! Alright.
Accidentally hitting your thumb with a hammer is never fun, but getting hit by this one would put nails in your coffin. Luckily, the world's biggest hammer isn't used manually, and nobody needs to hold this giant nail either. And this tool for building is actually built to destroy. Everything in this video would look normal sized to someone with hands like this guy. The real-life Incredible Hulk can crush metal, make a burger look like baby food, milk cartons miniature,
Here's my wife's little milk.
and a basketball looks like an orange. His hands are so enormous that his high fives are practically illegal. Mark Rober built a Nerf gun capable of ending all wars. Subtlety wasn't guaranteed, but power definitely was, with bullets able to break glass and travel the length of a football field. Not only were battles with his nieces and nephews a surefire victory, but also losing Nerf darts was no longer an issue. Nobody does burgers quite like America. And even Godzilla would find it difficult to fit this record-breaking patty in its jaws. 210 pounds of ground beef, 10 pounds of cheese, 15 pounds of veg, and to make it complete, 4 pounds of crispy bacon. After all that, 40 people were needed to chow it down. Forget the foot long. The Chicago-style hot dog measures 40 feet. That's more than double the length of a Burmese python. And Conan O'Brien was lucky it even fit on stage. Never mind gift bags. There's enough sausages there to feed everyone in the audience.
I'm just gonna leave it there all night and see what happens.
These guys claimed the record for the highest ever Lego tower, reaching a height of 114 feet and 11 inches. The key to setting this record? Wearing shoes. If you know, you know. You know what they say, before you judge someone, walk a mile in their shoes. But if their shoes are this size, a mile doesn't even feel that far. These kicks would even have too much toe space for Shaq. This skateboard gives its riders a little more leg room and promises to really catch attention at the park. It's 12.5 times bigger than a regular board, turning a solo sport into a group activity. Just don't fall off, the ground is a lot further away than usual.
Whoa!
When riding the tallest bicycle, surely a full suit of armor is needed with a helmet. Richie Trimble took on the challenge, and fortunately for him, he was able to stay on the saddle. Oliver Tree, take notes. If anyone tells you something as easy as riding a bike, make sure you show them this.
California.
Giving in to craving for McDonald's chicken nuggets can't be helped sometimes. But usually our appetite isn't this large. Jay and Romel made the biggest box of nuggets ever with 100,000 pieces inside. And having cheat days now and then are okay, but if it's a 4.3 million calorie cheat day, then you'll be trying to burn that off for years. Nextgen Consoles will set you back financially, but not as much as the one ZHC made. He spent $70,000 and 100 hours crafting the ultimate gaming experience. This supersized version of the PS5 stands at 10 feet tall with a controller to match. All you need now is a world record gaming chair. Shopping carts. Sometimes used for transporting your groceries, and other times used for transporting people. This motorized megacart is suited to the latter, providing its riders with an adrenaline-fueled trip across the city.
You ride in the big cart, right? How many groceries does it? How many bags does it?
You can actually fit 165 paper bags.
Everyone has that one friend that has a smartphone so big, it barely fits in their hands. But YouTuber Matthew Beam decided to build an iPhone even bigger than a whole person. So strap on your Jordans, cause you'll need to jump like an NBA player to get into any selfie you take.
60 plus 9 equals...
Breakfast is supposed to be the most important meal of the day, so make it count. These guys took that pretty seriously when they created a bowl the size of a jacuzzi. Surely a 6-foot-tall spoon at breakfast gives some serial killer vibes, but it was needed for the over 700 pounds of marshmallows and enough milk to drain a whole cow.
We are part of this complete breakfast.
This not-so-pocket-sized lighter blurs the line between a candle burner and a flamethrower. And unless you want to pick up eating fire as your latest hobby, choosing the standard version for your birthday cake candles is probably the safest. Keeping to your New Year's diet just went up a level in difficulty. Each sprinkle weighs as much as your average pastry. When it comes to breaking a world record, this guy got a hole in one. But he's gonna have to keep a low profile when every cop in America is trying to get their hands on his creation. These YouTubers made a not-so-lap-friendly laptop that prioritizes power over portability. If you want to put this on your legs for late-night Netflix binges, then do so knowing you won't feel them in the morning. All it needs now is a world record backpack to carry it.
I think the word cool comes to mind.
These rubber ducks aren't for your bubble baths. Instead, the 59-foot-tall quackers took to the waters of Hong Kong. Not exactly the type of sea monsters to strike fear into sailors. If you're struggling to make a protein smoothie big enough to handle your gym requirements, then this blender is here to save your gains. Handling whole melons is no problem for these blades. But who wants to clean that up afterwards?
Oh man, there's not much in there, right? It's all out. There's like very little in there.
When tasked with dealing with a large pest problem, the backyard scientist built a mousetrap big enough to slay anything in its path. Luckily, no raccoons or giant mice were actually harmed in the testing of the device, but nobody's gonna be in a hurry to steal his Amazon packages from now on.
2, 1. Oh.
Fighting for the best spot on the couch is no longer necessary with this TV. Whether you're far or nearsighted, gaming without your glasses on isn't an issue with this many inches of screen. This giant truck put the monster in monster truck. 17 feet above the ground gives Whistling Diesel a whole new perspective of the road. And getting into a car crash with this beast isn't the main worry. It's getting literally bulldozed over by its wheels. Life is all about perspective, but not in this case. This arcade machine's really that big. He wanted users to remember how it feels to be smaller than everything without making them shrink. And having a 15-foot tall arcade machine will certainly do that. Now, why do I have the sudden urge to play Space Invaders and Pac-Man? If you can't decide between traveling by train or limo, then this 100-foot super stretch car is for you. The world's longest vehicle makes parallel parking an Olympic sport, so be prepared for multiple parking tickets every time you go to the store. This computer's so big, it needs to be on wheels. It's so powerful, it could store the universe's data on it. And surely not even GTA 6 can turn down a PC that size. Is there even such a thing as too much chocolate? The creators of the largest chocolate bar ever certainly don't think so. This 50,000-foot-long chocolate bar is the Titanic of all confectionery, bringing Willy Wonka's version to real life. When you choose the healthier option, but it comes in size XXL, it took 5,000 pounds of salmon, 500 pounds of cucumber, and the Great Wall of Rice to roll up this sushi. So next time you choose the healthier alternative on the menu, check the calorie count. Turns out the bigger the racket doesn't translate to the better swing in tennis, unless you're going for a home run instead of a killer serve.
That's how you know you're short. You have a racket that doubles your height and you still can't reach it.
Not only the biggest, but the brightest flashlight brings a heavy, but a damaging option to your self-defense game. If blinding your enemy doesn't work, then you can always go into strike mode. It's so bright, it could light up a black hole in the galaxy. And if that's not the most random invention you'll see today, this definitely is. Can you even say you've competed extreme sports until you ride a dirt bike off the world's biggest rocking chair? A piece of furniture normally associated with grandparents and knitting just took a twist. Standing at almost 10 feet tall, this chair promises to rock your world. If you want to see a Warhammer fit for the gods, then look no further. Chris Hemsworth may have a tough time dealing with this version of Thor's weapon though, and being on the receiving end of it will send you straight to Valhalla. They say it's hard to reach the handlebars on a chopper. Well, in the world's largest motorcycle, it's even harder just to climb aboard. 6 times larger than a standard motorbike. This 5-ton monster is over 5 meters tall. There's nothing like an omelet made from 10,000 eggs. In this Belgium festival, hundreds of chefs and volunteers crack, beat, and cook eggs before pouring it into a comically large frying pan. It takes a team to stir the omelet as it cooks before being served to the crowd with a side of bread. If Godzilla ever invades the city again, I think our best plan is to invite him to this cookout. This massive barbecue is equipped with a fire pit and smokestacks able to cook up to 8,000 pounds of meat. So that's at least enough to keep him preoccupied for a little while. But in the more likely event you want to get friendly with the whole neighborhood, this is the way to do it. What's cooler than a fire-forged sword that can cut through anything? I'll tell you what, a giant sword. Luckily for all of us, learning how to fight on the battlefield with these things isn't an essential life skill anymore. Instead, weapons like these can bring Fruit Ninja to real life. Whether you want to make the biggest burger, a titanic bowl of cereal, or just a larger-than-life companion, Blossom is your cow.
I'm Patty Hansen, and this is my friend Blossom.
This huge heifer is the tallest cow in the world, standing over 6 feet. If there's anyone on the farm you don't want beef with, it's her. Roller coasters are great and all, but the real daredevils of this world want to drive around the loops themselves. And what a better way to do that than fulfilling the ultimate kid's dream of real-life Hot Wheel cars. From wreaking havoc in your childhood room to testing your nerves against a 6-story high double loop. This is what happens when anime meets real life. Yokohama, Japan is home to a replica Gundam-style robot that actually moves, standing over 18 meters tall and featuring 24 moving joints. It's ready just in case of a kaiju attack. Marcus Daly's the proud owner of the world's largest hot dog cart, measuring in at 12 feet 2.75 inches in height and 23 feet and 2 inches wide. This oversized novelty is actually a full-functioning restaurant. Romario dos Santos Alves is obsessed with looking like the Incredible Hulk. So much, in fact, he spent most of his life chasing one title, the man with the biggest arms. While weightlifting isn't enough to sustain this bulging physique, Romario turns to oil to pump up his arms.
Let him cook. Let him cook now. I said let him cook.
When you're a big kid that never quite grew up, the world's largest air hockey table is the ultimate toy. Built 10 times larger than your regular version, they needed 2 industrial blowers just to get the right air pressure. Do you ever wonder how they sign those giant novelty-sized checks? With a giant pen, of course. Measuring at 5.5 meters long, it's so heavy, it needs at least 5 people to lift it into position. All those years messing around finally paid off when this guy created the largest paper plane in existence. 122 inches long, the classic design still holds up in the flight test. Most people get defensive when you point out they have a big mouth, but not Francisco Domingo. He's the holder of the world's widest mouth, opening to 6.69 inches without stretching. But his main party trick, however, is fitting things in his mouth that just shouldn't be possible. Swings are no longer just for kids in the playground. This swing in China is one of the biggest in the world, swinging daredevils over a cliff with nothing between your dangling feet and the massive drop below. I have a feeling one push is more than enough. When it comes to breaking records, size does matter, but luckily you don't have to reach very far to hit that like and subscribe button. See ya!